In 1933, a Japanese painter published a 6-volume color book with no instructions, no color wheel, and no explanations of any form. Just 348 color combinations that always work. And 90 years later, designers and artists still swear by this book. I want to share with you what this book has taught me about reinventing myself as a creative who's trying to solidify my brand or persona. But before I share this nuggets, you need a little knowledge about the book, the curator, and why with the help of this book, outfits tend to look intentional, rooms look designed, and, your decorations look intentional. With this knowledge, we understand how this book, relates to reinventing oneself as a creative and, the overall branding as a creative, especially if you are one of the unorthodox ones. The author of this book is an Academy Award winner. He designed the poster for the Olympics, and he also founded the Japan Color Research Institute. His name is Sanzo Wada. I hope I, got that correctly, because, I'm bad with destroying names sometimes. He was born in 1883 in a small prefecture in Japan. He moved to Europe to become a painter. And he was so good at the West and even still good that he had to come back home to teach, the small schools in Japan that raised him to become this prolific painter. By every normal measure, this is, a man, a creative that has made it. But the thing about him is that he didn't stay in one lane. He went on to study theater in school, and he equally designed I think it was the 1940 Tokyo Olympics poster. He also won an Academy Award for the best costume design of the film titled Gate of Hell. I think it was a movie that was made in 1954 in Tokyo. This was the early inventions of color, and the studio he worked with was a studio that was trying to, create a colored motion picture for the first time. And Sanzo Wada was the choice. It was a big gamble, but it was one of those gambles that paid off. He made the trust in him worthwhile. And, years later, he got to create and publish the little curational book for colors. And which is best known as the Dictionary of Color Combinations. But here's one thing that really struck me and also stuck with me in my journey of trying to, create a brand that stands and shines. The creation of this book first was not intentional. It was born out of sheer practice. It was born out of sheer love for his profession, sheer love for colors, and also born out of need, was also born out of being curious, asking a lot of questions, and most was born out of observation. The colors that you find, the colors that make up the 348 colors in this book that you find are actually colors gotten from colored scrap that Sanzo Wada collected over the years. And his students had one funny name for this garbage. They called it the 100,000 pieces of colorful garbage. Yes, to them that was what it was, but to Sanzo Wada, this was an observation, an archive. I noticed how in the whole story of the creation of this book, there was no time where it felt like Sanzo Wada was controlling. But this whole curational step, this step of observation, not trying to alter, let things play out and see the interaction between colors when colors are placed side by side. The testament to show that in trying to create a brand, one of the one of the biggest soul you have in your arsenal is not curation. I think curation comes at the end of this step. Creation comes at the end of it all. Creation comes when you're trying to create more understanding. The first part I learned much to remind myself is first understanding. Understanding that there's a lot that I don't know. During this past days, trying to learn about stuff, I found out that there's a lot of things that I don't know. And the more I try to know, the more I find out that there's still a lot of things I don't know. It has been really humbling. There's something Sanzo Wada of ACW said in one of his interviews. He said, in the beginning of your career, there has to be a complete ego death. If you're in the middle of, reinventing yourself, creating a brand for yourself as an orthodox person, and this video should just serve as a reminder that the years that don't feel like they're going anywhere might actually be the ones that matter most later. And with that said, I think I'll drop it here. I hope you found value from this video. If you did find value, please hit the subscribe button because I will always show up here weekly to talk about psychological hurdles that we face as creatives, talk about reinventing and branding yourself as a creative. And one of the reasons why you should stick around is because I'm actually a beginner. I'm actually a learner too. So, and one thing I know for sure that it's easier to learn from a learner who's just one step ahead than a professional who has gone way far ahead in the journey. So until next time, peace, and I'll see you in the next one.